What is up guys, my name is Cosmic and welcome to the video in which I rank the difficulty of God of War 4's bosses. Before we start, please keep in mind this video is completely my opinion and is in no way objective. I've completed the game multiple times and completed a playthrough on the post-patch Give Me God of War difficulty. And now I decided it was a good time to rank the mixed bag of bosses this game has to offer. I'll also only be including the main game fights and will be excluding the mini bosses scattered throughout. If you want me to make a video on them in the future, please let me know in the comment section below. I'd be more than happy to do it. So let's get started with number 7, Lair, the Mountain Dragon. Damn, this fight was a disappointment in terms of challenge. This is the boss I only died to once on my Give Me God of War playthrough. Before exiting the mines, you are interrupted by this huge dragon that doesn't want to let Kratos and Atreus leave. On this ramshackle elevator, you first of all have to deal with phase 1 of the Mountain Dragon onslaught. In my opinion, this is the hardest part of the fight as all of his attacks aren't particularly well telegraphed and hit very hard. He can also attack very frequently, and both of these as a combination can make this phase very difficult. The dragon lets you hit his hands, and this is how you deal damage to him during this phase. His attacks involve him chomping at you and hitting at you with his claws. The way he bites depending on what side of the elevator you are on, so make sure you change sides frequently to avoid getting hit. Once you've done enough damage to him, he will break the elevator and attempt to crawl out of the cave. As he does so, he snacks the chain of the elevator on his tail and drags you through the rock's rhythm. Once you get outside, you discover that the dragon is harassing Sindri and you need to save him. You and Atreus go your separate ways, and Atreus goes to help Sindri while Kratos goes and debates the dragon by jumping onto him and dealing some damage to his tongue. Now, in what might be the most thrilling boss fight sequence in the entire game, you have to avoid Lair's electric and melee attacks. This is fairly easy to do, as even on Give Me God of War, you can just whip out your shield and the AoE slam attack will deal no damage at all. When he releases this attack, he'll give you plenty of time to slash at his claws and deal some damage to him. But the real deal is when the dragon opens his mouth to release electricity attacks. This is your opportunity to slurp a nearby Will Tree sap and make it go boom. This will stagger the dragon and will also give you a window to attack a crease in his head that will deal a lot of damage. Eventually he'll get back up and you'll have to do this again. Keep repeating this process and you should slay this guy in no time. Even on the hardest difficulty, his attacks did minimal damage and were very easy to dodge in every phase but his first. And honestly, I can't help but feel bad for killing this guy in such a brutal manner. I mean, just watch this. Number 6, the Stranger. I count this fight separate from Baldur's endgame fight. The Stranger is the fight you get initiated with the first time around when this friendly individual comes knocking at Kratos' door. After some BM, he finally reveals that he's some sort of god or superhuman when he punches Kratos straight over his home and into the deep snow of his backyard. The very first phase of this fight is a very good introduction to the next two and introduces you to the importance of parry abilities and blocking using your shield. Every time you block Baldur in this fight, you knock him back, and if you knock him into a wall, you open up a window to deal a lot of damage to him. This is a boss that you can get away with being very aggressive against. If you can keep up with him, you can potentially deal insane amounts of damage to him before he inevitably pushes you far away. Using the environment doesn't really help versus Baldur either, as he can just push straight through the rocks and trees. Once his first phase is over and you politely tell him to leave, Kratos goes a little batshit and picks up Baldur to run him into a rock in the front yard. Baldur then reveals that all damage dealt to him is just gonna regenerate.
Care to try again?
Of course, Kratos doesn't accept this, and after another short brawl and Baldur threatening to go into their home and discover Atreus, Kratos presses Q and goes as far to use a nearby tree to push Baldur through the rocks. This is until he says nope, fuck the tree, and you engage in another fantastic 1v1 in Spartan Rage. This phase is similar to his first, but he deals slightly extra damage and has a dash attack that will always hit Kratos, so make sure to hold up your shield at the last second to parry him. Spamming him with heavy attacks and then combining it with light attacks means he will be flying in the air for a long time and give you plenty of time to just wail on him. Once again, when this phase is over, you will witness some of the best cinematics in gaming, and after another small brawl on top of an earthquake, you crush Baldur with a nearby rock, and everything goes quiet. That is until you discover that Baldur has still not died. After another brawl and multiple fantastic cutscenes, you face off in the final phase. This phase is similar to his first and second, but he gains access to a few extra attacks, such as one in which he leaps into the air and lands on Kratos with a big AoE ice attack that is quite easy to dodge if you just roll out of the way in any direction at all. Altogether, this first fight with the stranger is exhilarating and contains some of the best cinematics I've ever experienced in gaming, and it's a first encounter that I'm never gonna forget. Before fetching a fragment of Thamur the Giant's chisel, you are interrupted by the Sons of Thor, Magni, and Modi. This gank is very well designed and reminds me quite a bit of Dragon Slayer Ornstein and Execution to Smo from Dark Souls 1. Magni uses his lightning sword to deal devastating damage while having some very slow and coordinated attacks, while Modi walks around the arena Dragon Slayer armor style, hiding behind his shield, but will attack Kratos at any given opportunity with some faster but lighter hitting attacks. When one of the brothers' stun meter reaches full, they'll be exhausted and will sit there until the meter goes back down again, allowing you to deal significant damage to the other brother. When they both reach a certain amount of HP, they'll chant and the whole arena will be in smog. Using the damage incoming indicators, you must fend off the brothers by holding up your shield in the direction that they are approaching from. During this phase, Kratos attempts to calm Atreus down while finding out more about why the brothers are attacking them. In the second phase, they both get access to a few more attacks. One example is Magni's ability to summon a very quick projectile with a sword that could be dodged fairly easily. You have to repeat what you did in the first phase in all three of them, but this is made more difficult each time. When the smog appears a second time, the brothers can trick you into thinking they're about to attack one way, but debated, they're coming from a different direction. For the third phase, they go all Lady Maria on you, and the brothers will gain access to an attack that means Magni will throw Modi in the air to deal massive damage if Modi lands on you. They are more defensive and also more aggressive in this final segment, and now you have to seriously watch out for their attacks and try your best to balance dealing damage to the two brothers. One weakness they develop in this phase is when Magni throws Modi, you can throw your Leviathan axe at him while he's in the air to stagger him and deal a lot of damage. Altogether, the battle versus the Sons of Thor is a very well designed gank that is fair and has very good synergy, and victory against these brothers is something I will always be proud of. Considering Grendel of the Frost and Grendel of the Ashes is just a gank with two of the trolls you've had the pleasure of encountering multiple times throughout the game, this fight is unique and very challenging. The trick to defeating these trolls is to attack Grendel of the Ash using a Leviathan axe due to him being primordial, and to attack Grendel of the Frost using your Blades of Chaos due to him being Satharan made of ice. When you attack one of them, it's constantly recovering health at the cost of the other one's health. For example, when you're attacking Grendel of the Frost, Grendel of the Ashes will cut down its own HP in order for the Frost to recover. And in my opinion, this adds a really nice twist to the fight. If both attack you at the same time, you have to make sure you're always on your guard. You have to make sure that you're using the right weapon and that you keep an eye out what the other troll is doing so that you do not get caught off guard. Spamming Runic is the way to go for this fight. Really cut one of the troll's health bars down so that the other one has to pain split, and then spam Runic on the other one and cut them down as well. Not really too much else to say except to watch out for Grendel of the Frost's really annoying icicle attack. He will summon rocks or icicles from the ground that will explode if they are hit with anything and temporarily blind Kratos, like the really annoying mines left by the Dark Elves of Alfheim, and a certain boss coming up. So altogether, I really like the idea of Grendel and Grendel, but I really just wish they weren't reskins of the trolls. Number 3, Martyr Helsen, the Bridgekeeper of Helheim. This guy made me go a little crazy in my Give Me God of War playthrough. The Bridgekeeper of Helheim is yet another troll that has his own unique abilities that makes him an extremely difficult challenge and makes him stand out from the standard troll enemies throughout God of War. In order to cure Atreus, Kratos has to travel to Helheim and acquire the heart of the Bridgekeeper that makes sure the dead and only the dead pass through to the Bridge of the Damned. During this fight, the boss will teleport around and attempt to keep his distance, except for when he gets extremely aggressive and will slam downwards in quick succession multiple times. At the end of this onslaught, he requires some time to recover, and this is your chance to deal damage to him. He also summons blue spectral orbs that slowly follow Kratos and will deal some nasty damage if they land. These can be destroyed, but they have very ungenerous hitboxes. At the end of this phase, he'll teleport close to the entrance into the Bridge of the Damned and will slam his rock on the ground to summon shockwaves of ice that will stagger and damage Kratos if they hit him. In each slam, there is a gap in the ways, and by circumventing them, you can reach the troll and initiate the next phase. In the second phase, Martyr will summon blue ads that will frequently jump on your back and be a serious inconvenience with the boss constantly on your ass as well. The blue orbs don't cease their pursuit, so it's now a ROM battle. You can either go full YOLO and go super aggressive on the troll, or you can take it as slow as possible by destroying the blue orbs and taking care of the ads before going onto the troll. You'll once again teleport to the side of the arena and summon more ice waves when this phase is over. Repeat the same process and phase 3 will begin. There's less ads this time, but the troll teleports what feels like every 2 seconds, then it can be very awkward to go and deal damage to him because of this. He also gains access to an attack where he charges up a slam before he teleports and then slams it as soon as he does so. This attack hurts hard and can be pretty difficult to dodge as well. On Give Me God of War, the Bridge Keeper hits like a bus, and having ads on top of that, something that I personally struggle with, this is one of the toughest fights in the entire game and still is to this day. Thank the Lords I got to rip his heart out afterwards. Number 2, Baldur, Son of Odin. So I separated this fight from the one at the beginning of the game due to them being at sheer opposite ends of the story, and because Baldur is known as the Stranger during that first fight. The final battle with Baldur is absolutely exhilarating and is God of War 4 at its finest. Baldur emerges from the water during a conversation with the goddess Freya and after hurting Jormungandr. Now that you and Atreus are in the open and he knows where you are, he and Freya meet for the first time in a while. In order to separate them before things get out of hand and Freya gets harmed, Kratos initiates a duel with him. This short phase is just the same as phase 3 of the Stranger fight, so I don't need to explain all that again. After melting him down slightly, he punches Atreus in the mistletoe arrow shot on the strap of his quiver.
Oh, Atreus! You're bleeding. Breathe, boy. Breathe!
Not my blood.
What is that? I can feel this.
Now he can feel things, and is vulnerable. Freya casually summons the corpse of Thamur the Giant, as you do, and carries Kratos and Atreus into phase 2 of the battle where, after a while, Baldur revealed that he feels freezing. Now that you have the Blades of Chaos, you must use these from here on out in this phase. Avoiding his ice attacks this whole time, this phase is pretty standard except for the fact that you also have to consider Freya controlling Thamur's corpse and summoning shockwaves that stagger both Kratos and Baldur if not dodged. Baldur has access to all of the attacks he uses in phase 3 of the Stranger fight and also has one added to his arsenal where he throws 2 ice projectiles at Kratos that are easily blocked. Once this phase is over, Kratos throws the Leviathan axe at Baldur and pins him to the wall before Freya cooks you. But of course, attempting to block Kratos with a large object doesn't really work, and you're eventually both thrown into phase 3 of the fight. This is a very difficult phase because similarly to the Bridge Keeper, ads are summoned frequently throughout the fight by Freya and can make the fight extremely troublesome. Baldur now gets access to a devastating attack where he leaps into the air and crashes down onto Kratos, releasing a massive AoE of fire damage. And let me tell you, this attack is insane on Give Me God of War and gives you an incomprehensibly small window to dodge and will most likely two-shot you. What's interesting about this phase is that you can either use the Blades of Chaos or the Leviathan axe, so you can choose which weapon suits you and spam runic attacks on him. Finally, once you've melded your way through this phase, Kratos, Atreus, and Baldur climb onto Thamur and battle it out as you did in the second encounter. Now in the final and most difficult phase, you must adapt to when Baldur switches to Scyther and Primordial mode, much like when Grendel the Frost and Grendel the Ashes. In a combination of absolutely every attack he's used until this point, including those used in the Stranger fight, Baldur releases everything that he has on Kratos and Atreus. He uses his jump AoE, his dashes, his projectiles, frequently changing into Scyther and Primordial modes, and it is a fantastic experience and very satisfying to finally mat him down to the very end. Watching you and Atreus combine your skill to beat him down before finally ending this cycle is a phenomenal way to end an amazing boss battle and a finale that I will always remember.
Here must be better than this.
And the hardest main game boss of God of War goes to Svartalfur, King of the Dark Elves. I'm not sure what he's like since he got nerfed, but before the patches, this guy seemed uncharacteristically difficult, even for Give Me God of War. The boss took me over 7 hours of in-game attempts to take down, and I'm pretty sure I can explain why. One thing that made Baldur's fight and the Bridgekeeper fight substantially easier in Give Me God of War is that the game gives you checkpoints throughout the battle when their health reaches a certain point. For example, for the Bridgekeeper, when he teleports to unleash the waves of ice, that acts as a checkpoint for the fight, so if you died, he'd still have that amount of health. But this elf has no checkpoints, a health bar that doesn't seem to want to go down, and he blinded me every 2.5 seconds, so I couldn't lock onto him. I don't have any footage from my Give Me God of War playthrough, as this was a couple of months ago now, but every time he jumped, he'd drop a blinding mine, and if you play aggressive, which is actually the best strategy for this guy, you'll likely get blinded each and every single time, which leaves you extremely vulnerable to his strong attacks. There's honestly not much more I can say. He hits like an absolute truck, he's very aggressive, blinds you constantly, has more health than every enemy in the game combined so far, has no checkpoints, and is an extremely difficult boss fight. I don't by any means think this is poorly designed or makes this fight unfair, it just seemed very uncharacteristic since other bosses has given you checkpoints. Since my first playthrough, I'm pretty sure he's been nerfed, but when I faced Don't Give Me a Challenge, he didn't drop the blind bombs very often and this fight was fairly easy. Conquering this elf on Give Me God of War gave me a sense of satisfaction that even games like Bloodborne and Dark Souls have never given me. That feeling is something I wish I could re-experience, and for that, Svartaljafer, I thank you. Alright everybody, that concludes my God of War 4 boss ranking video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you had a harder or easier time with any of these bosses and disagree with where I've ranked anything, please let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you guys think. But again, before commenting, please remember this list is my opinion and is not objective in any way at all. But that's it. Check the description for my Twitch if you'd like to watch some God of War gameplay in the future, and drop a follow while you're at it. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.